you can go after set-asides in 3 different categories. That's why we recommend more. You can also sell to the government under a purchase card transaction. So, you know, an agency can call you guys up and say, hey, we want to buy something under a purchase card, and they can just buy your, and you don't even have to have a contract in place with purchase card programs. So things that are lower dollar value, they can buy under purchase card. That makes things a lot easier. And you know, if you sell enough of it, you can make a lot, even if they're small businesses.
What would be the best way to for those people to know about us? I guess is what I'm asking.
So if you had a GSA schedule, what happens is they take all of your, once you negotiate a GSA schedule, you put all your products, descriptions, and prices, like that's your proposal to them. But then after you win, they have something called GSA Advantage, and they take all your products, descriptions, and prices and put them up on like an electronic mall in the sky, so they can see you there. Once you have a GSA schedule, you can also put that you are a GSA schedule holder, and so you still have to make those initial contacts with the, like I always think it's a good idea to put together a one-page, these are the kinds of products and services we sell, and in an electronic file, and just send it to contracting officers, so that you just let them know that you are available, and then you're the small business advocates in those agencies, because at least you're getting your name in front of them. And then, you know, as you start, you know, I think they say that it takes like 10 events for somebody to connect with you and recognize you. Did you ever see that movie? I'm not going to know the name of it. It's the movie about, there's like 6 people, and they all perform like theft. So they're in various places, and there's like, you know, like I'll be standing here and I steal his wallet, but they've all perfected those skill sets. And at one point, they're at a horse race, and they're trying to catch this big, you know, they're trying to get the money from this one big guy, and this one fellow like bets him. And what it's based on is that he says, you know, who do you think is going to win? But he keeps like showing this one number to him. So throughout the last 2 days, you know what I'm talking about?
With Will Smith Center, right? 60.
Yeah.
They basically prime you by placing that number.
Exactly. So the more times you see something, the more comfortable and familiar it becomes. And the same is true with sales. You have to like get your name in front of these people like 6, 8, 10 times before you're a comfort item to them, where they feel that they can trust you. So if you just send an email once a year and say, hey, here I am, don't forget about me, it's not going to do anything. It's that constant, you know, just following up, and not following up with no information, but, you know, oh, by the way, I just want to let you know we have a brand new product. We have a brand new service we're offering. And just keeping your name in front of them, so that what you're hoping for is that the contracting officer doesn't come up with the requirements themselves. It has to come from the program side. So no contracting officer says, gee, you know what I think DHS needs? I think they need more training in the area of computer-aided design. They don't do that. Some program manager who has a mission and a requirement to meet that mission comes to the contracting shop and says, I need training in computer-aided design. Go find something for me. And then they go out, and what you're hoping is that you're sort of at the top of that contracting officer's brain when they're trying to buy things.
How often would you suggest sending out like the emails?
I think once a month is fine.
Once a month, that wouldn't be overkill.
Well, I'm sure you're going to tick off some contracting officers, but the fact of the matter is you're trying to get business, and you know, you just need to sort of get your name out there.
Well, that is their job to go out and try to find the best anyway, right?
Right.
Make their job easier.
Right.
I have a second question. Now, when you talk about this, the purchase under the card transaction, the purchase card transaction, that's not contingent on them being on GSA,
Correct.
correct? Okay.
So let me rephrase that. If you're going to be on GSA, you have to have the ability to take you have to have the ability to take credit cards. Government calls them purchase cards. But you have to have the ability to take them. But outside of GSA, you know, if the government needed a bunch of extension cords, and you sold extension cords, they could buy them from you, because it's gonna be cheaper to enter into a blanket purchase agreement with you to buy than to, like, just go into Home Depot and buy individual ones. Okay, so if your product does not meet all the requirements as is, you need to either make your product or service compliant. And in order to decide whether or not you want to do that, you conduct a return on investment analysis. So you have to look at your product and their requirements and figure out specifically, exactly what needs to change about your product to meet their requirements. This isn't a loosey-goosey. If you're not compliant, they're going to either hit you with equitable, they're going to hit you with damages, meaning if you charge $100 and you provide a product that's not totally compliant with their specifications, they might only pay you $85. Or they might say you have to redo it so that it's compliant. And if you choose not to do that, then they terminate you for default, which means it's your fault. So you really want to make sure that you're, don't humor yourself. It's either compliant or it's not compliant, and then make a decision. So when you are conducting that return on investment, figure out what has to be changed. Figure out how much it costs to be changed. Now, I'm going to assume something about your business. If I had to take out that one ingredient and put another ingredient in, is that just a matter of going to the machine that does that and changing out one liquid for a different liquid?
It would be product specific. There's not really, some products you can drop in other products to replace. But that, you know, it would involve more as far as creating control safety data sheets and, you know, all the other things.
Okay, so the preliminary work would be an expense to you that you would have to consider in the return on investment. The actual swapping out one bottle for another probably wouldn't be a big deal.
No.
So then so that's the kind of return on investment you would do. How much is this going to cost, and is it going to be worth? And in order to make that, you want to look at both in your rearview mirror and looking out in the future, right? So what has happened in the past? What kind of purchases have they made for that product? And then what do I anticipate they're going to be buying in the future? And you can look at federal budgets for that. So Office of Management Budget has budgets for everything that they buy. And, but it's at the agency level, and you have to keep drilling down and drilling down and drilling down to get to the specifics. And then the two choices still exist. You can work with another company to make your product or service compliant, or you need to work with another company or multiple companies to make your total solution compliant if there's multiple parts to it. Okay, so where do you find, and these companies that you're bringing in, it's a decision point. Are they priming or are you priming? Are they subbing or are you subbing? Where do you find these companies? Actually, how active is your Chamber of Commerce down here?
You mean, well, it depends on by county really where they're located, and some are going through some transition where they're combining. I know Washington County, I mean, they're pretty active. Tazewell County's had some real movement around kind of combining and whatnot, so it just depends on which county you're talking about.
Okay.
But I know here in Washington County it's very active. They do the business challenge and give out money to help with stuff, and many of them are active, but it just depends on which county you're talking about.
Okay, who is a member of your Chamber of Commerce and who attends activities? So something we may want to think about, right? Because that's the place, I mean, Chambers of Commerce are designed to help bring you guys together so that you find other companies that might have interest in our case, in federal contracting, that you can work together. You know, this networking notion, I know we're all busy and we love to just sit at our desk and we're overwhelmed with life just doing that part, but the networking piece is critical. You know, whether you're doing it through social media, whether you're doing it face-to-face. I know a lot of professional associations, I'm on the boards of directors for several, they're finding a real decline in membership because people just don't have the time and that kind of thing. You know, they think it's just sitting around sipping wine, but you start making those contacts with people, and like that's necessary for federal government business. So the fact that, Stephanie's talking about bringing in General Dynamics, you'll start making those contacts, bring your business cards in, make sure that they have a way to reach you. If you have a one-page of what your company does, give it to them. Because if she's talking about the purchasing people, the more information they have about you, the better. So think about that. So talk about networking opportunities around here besides Chamber of Commerce.
Well, probably the biggest for all those in the room, and this is not necessarily a sales pitch, but the Southwest Virginia Alliance for Manufacturing is an association. It is membership based. We have county members, but we also have manufacturing members that pay an annual membership fee based on their employment. We also have affiliate members, some pay 50, some pay 100, but manufacturers are the ones that we really shop for. But there's a annual manufacturers expo, we do an awards banquet, a holiday dinner. Tomorrow we're creating a Kaizen culture for members. It is free and you're being fed. So a lot of opportunity to network and learn best practices from others and also find new business. So that is like, for our manufacturers would be a give me. That they really should, and I've got some information off had Lenny Gale, who's not here today, because today we're doing the Outstanding Women in Manufacturing luncheon. But certainly an opportunity there. Create a lot of opportunities. We've done a resource fair. I know there were Migrant Sales, you're familiar with in Owasso County. We had them participate in a couple of events, and I personally, because they're a heart project, I took them from table to table and kind of talking to those companies, the bigger manufacturers that were participating. So lots of opportunities to really network. And then they may not directly do business with you or need your product or service, but they also know others. And we've had a lot of people join SPAM because of just that, because they heard about it or they went to an event and they heard the benefit and they learned something from another manufacturer that they've been struggling with. They're like, it was worth that, I want to join. And it's really not cost prohibitive, but certainly there's a fee.
I can't overemphasize how important these things are. This is no exaggeration. When I go to networking events in DC, very seldom do I not end up with a business opportunity. You hear what I said? Very seldom do I not end up with an opportunity. So if you're not pursuing that avenue at all, you're missing out. There's research that says, you remember the activity we did last week, and we'll do it again either today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, where you met with somebody from another company and you talked about, maybe something's keeping you up at night or what do you need, those kind of things. The reason why we do that is because and I don't want to sound like, I know people are all over the map with stuff like this, but I don't want to sound like new age, crazy kind of thing, but if you put it out to the universe, you get responses. I might tell you that my weakness is a good financial system, and you may not have anything to offer me in terms of financial system, but you'll go to a dinner party on Friday night, and somebody will be talking about financial management. So, hey, I just talked to Mary Ann about that. Let me just give her a call and let her know what I learned. Those kind of connections just grow and grow and grow, and you need to be an active participant in helping. And other people, you'll find that other people will be natural to help you, which is why I have you ask people, tell them what you need, and then what you can give them. Like what additional resources do you have? Where do you have an overage of something? She's got a class, Stephanie has a classroom that's here. Maybe she can let you borrow it if you're having a team meeting or something. Things that you would never think of as being connections, just talking about it gets it out. That's why they say, for your New Year's resolutions, if you can get in the habit of writing them down and talking to other people about them. Why is that? Because you're physically manifesting, I have a goal to do this, and you're writing it down, and you're physically talking to other people about it, and now you've established, people will say to you, well, how are you doing with that weight loss? How are you doing with this? Can we just talk about this for one second? Can I go off on a tangent for a minute? Because I think it's a really important tangent. Man?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Habits. How many days does it take to create a habit?
21.
Everyone says it's 21 days to create a habit, right? That's what our research has shown us. So there was a guy who was a consultant who goes off and talks to people how it takes 21 days to create a habit. And he decided he wanted to learn to play the guitar. And so following his 21-day habit, he put a board up on his refrigerator, and every time he played the guitar, for the next 21 days, he was going to give himself a star to show that he had practiced that day. At the end of 21 days, how many stars did he have? He had 2. And he said to himself, oh my God, I am such, how many times have we done? I am such a, I can't think of words today. I'm such a phony, because I go out and preach this 21-day thing to everybody, and I can't even follow it myself. And so, like, he really thought long and hard about why this happened. So what he did was, when he had gotten the guitar, he stored it in his closet. And what he decided to do was to buy himself a $2.99 guitar stand. And what did he do with it?
Put it right there where you have to see it all the time.
Put it right in the middle of his living room. So every time he had to get up and go to the bathroom, he passed it. Every time he went and made himself something to eat, every time he came into it, he always saw this. And he did the experiment again. And how many days did he get? 21. And so he thought, why was that the case? And what research shows us is that we're pretty lazy creatures. I mean, how many people feel that their productivity has plummeted since the advent of Netflix? You know? Like, I didn't care about all 10 seasons, every episode of Friends when it was on. I caught it sporadically. It wasn't like I felt this need to, and now, like I feel like I'm going to get a badge when I finish this. I only have like 3 more episodes, you know, and I'm listening to it on the way down here. I'm listening, you know what I'm saying? It's become this whole culture that can really suck up a significant amount of your time. And if we're already busy, I mean, look how hard it is for some of you just to disengage. We started at 9. And some of you haven't been able to disengage because you have so much stuff going on at the office. I'm not criticizing, but like we can't even disengage for just a couple hours. And so when we get home, we are exhausted. You know, when we're exhausted, we tend to want to go for the comfort food instead of the healthy food. We tend to sit on the couch instead of go exercise. We tend to do all these things. And what he found was that if he could reduce the barrier to entry, meaning the ability to perform that habit, to 10 seconds, he had a much higher success rate of creating a habit. So by buying the $2.99 stand and putting it there, now when I'm walking by, oh, I just need to pick it up. That's less than 10 seconds, and I can practice. That's why he was so successful after the 21 days. And he tested this hypothesis in the following manner. He created a new habit. He wanted to create a new habit. And the habit was to get up in the morning and exercise. And he said he never had a problem with the alarm going off and him getting up. Like, that was not an issue for him. What was an issue is when the alarm went off and he laid in bed and he thought to himself, should I go to the gym that's closer, that has the raunchy equipment, or should I go to the gym further away that has the really good equipment? Should I work on my abs or my pecs or my legs today? Should I do cardio or strength building? Where are my gym clothes? Did I wash them yesterday? Where are tennis shoes? Are they in the car? Oh my God, do they stink? So he's going through this whole litany of questions. And what's this litany of questions doing for him? Barriers, right.
And he's spending his time.
Spending his time, and what else?
Talking about going.
Right. Talking himself right out of it. Because let's face it, there are like 50 decisions I now have to make before I can go exercise. So what he decided to do, now ladies, I must tell you right off the bat, he is not married. Because his solution of choice was to sleep in his gym clothes, decide the night before which gym he was going to and what he was going to work on, and to have his tennis shoes right by the bed. So that when he got up, his 10-second activity was putting his shoes on. So when you're thinking about what we're talking about the last time I was here, this time, and the next 2 times, is all about changing the way you do business. I'm not even talking about changing your product. I'm saying